Good evening, Nick family, and welcome to the Queen's Court. I'm your host, Stephanie. You can follow me on Twitter, BKSteph33. I'm a Knicks fan, obviously, New York Giants fan, New York Liberty fan. But tonight, we're here to talk about the Knicks. They've had two preseason games. We're going to break it all down for you. If you haven't joined the movement already, subscribe to the channel, Nothing But Knicks, so that you can hear all of the videos, live shows that drop on this channel. Remember, for every Nick game, we do a pregame, post game. The next day, we do a morning shoot around. That's hosted by Sim, the creator of the channel. Hit that notification button. You'll also hear when Queen's Court drop, with Josh show drops as well. The controversy. Obviously, the season is starting. There's going to be a lot of controversy. Hit that notification button if you like the content, hit the thumbs up. If not, hit the thumbs down. As long as you're engaged, is good. I'm joined today by two regulars, Josh, Uncle Fulio from The Controversy, Tony Crow from Nicks and Bruises, our brother channel, and we got a new guest, Tiff, or Tiffy, is here joining us today, and we about to get right to it. So select the panel. All right, we're gonna let Tiff go first, introduce herself, and then the fellas. How you doing?
Hi guys, good to be a part of this. Thank you for the invite stuff.
Of
I really
course.
appreciate it. I watch you guys. I've definitely seen you guys go at it last week. I think it was after the first preseason game. That was a great show. Thank you for Sim. Thank you for the hosting and just a part of the Knicks Nation on Twitter. Knicks Film School alum. Shout out to my guys over there. And right now I'm just me and my girls are trying to, bubble up something because we've been asked a lot of times. And I thank Steph for giving me this platform. I've been on a few shows, but, never a show that's hosted by a woman. So it's great. And I really appreciate it.
Listen, tell your other women friends, y'all don't even have to do another show. Y'all can come right here.
Okay.
Y'all can come right here. I would welcome that. But
I appreciate
welcome.
it. Thank you.
And you're welcome anytime.
Thank
Josh,
you.
Tony, how you two doing?
Let's give it up for the ladies, you know what I'm saying? The queens. All hail the queens, you know what I'm saying? We definitely gotta have more of that. Tiff, welcome.
Thank
Thank you for
you.
being a part of this. I'm looking forward to having the next discussion with you, and it should be fun.
Yes, definitely.
And yes, I concur with Josh said. All hail the queens. It's nice to have a new guest and then another female. So that's even greater to have this mixed point of view. So
Absolutely.
I'm excited about this.
All
Same.
right. So let's get right into it. The Knicks played Indiana, Washington. We was 2-0. We're gonna pull up that slide. We're gonna talk a little bit about that. We'll get into the advanced statistics a little later on, but I just want to know, was there any particular player or any particular aspect of the game that kind of stuck out? Let me just go over the stats real quick. We played Indiana. We won 125 to 104, 1-0 at that time. Seven players were in double figures, and I think it was two, maybe three, had 8 points. Right, so ball was moving around. Noel and Mitch were both out. Randall, despite the ball moving around, still had 20 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block. RJ, 17 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. We then played Washington and won that game 117 to 99, bringing us to 2-0. We shot 52 threes in that game. Six players were in double figures, and Taj also had 8. Noel, Mitch, and Randall was out that game. Shout out to Randall and his wife and his family for the new addition to their family. Rose only played 18 or 19 minutes, and he had 14 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds, 2 steals, and a block in that short amount of time. He was really on it. And RJ, 18 points, 4 assists, 2 rebounds. He did have turnovers, wasn't very efficient from 2 point land, but he had three threes. I think he was four for 8. And he guarded Beal, right? The best player on the other team. And Beal was 5 for 13 and was visibly frustrated. So I know you guys being Knicks fans saw the games. Was there any player or any aspect of those two games that stuck out for you? Josh, we'll start with you, then we'll get to Tiff and then Tony.
Well, obviously, the first thing that jumps out the screen that actually was the 3-point shooting. The amount, the volume of threes that the Knicks put up. I mean, last season we were last in the NBA and the amount of threes that we took. And, I want to say in the preseason, we definitely got to be number one after 2 games. I mean, 52 3-point attempts, that is a lot of threes in that last game. And obviously the percentage improved because we knocked down 24 of them, 46% from 3-point land in the last game. Didn't shoot that well the first game in regards to 3-pointers, but we scored 125 points. So that's the first thing that jumps off the screen for me is the amount of threes that the Knicks took. The fact that the ball was just moving around. The Knicks were shooting shots early in the shot clock. They were pushing the ball up the floor. So the tempo and the pace, which the Knicks were last in the NBA in pace last season, and the previous season before that, they were 29th. So this is something I'm looking forward to the Knicks doing this season. Definitely getting more possessions, getting more shots up there. And if the Knicks can get more shots up, they got the dogs to make those shots. And we're going to score a lot of points this year. So definitely that's the thing that jumps off the screen for me.
Yeah. Tiff?
Yeah, basically the same thing. Definitely the 3-point shooting, but also what jumps off the screen for me is definitely how they already look like there's chemistry on the team, like especially in the starting five. There was definitely some probably miscues in the first game that I probably remember, a couple air balls, a couple of turnovers, especially in the second game. There was a lot of turnovers. That's why I think we were missing Julius, but yeah, I definitely think the chemistry is what definitely jumps off the screen for me in the first two games, from the starters and from the bench. So that's a great thing. It's preseason, Thibs doesn't play that, so he's
Right.
definitely gonna have everybody on their P's and Q's. So it's great to see, like, people don't like, the starter minutes and stuff like that, but I love it. Like, we need to get on it. If we're gonna be taking that next step this season, we need to be as ready and prepared before the season starts. So, and that's preseason. So I'm sorry. So
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Tony?
Um, yeah, definitely the threes, definitely the chemistry. But just to put like a little bit of a twist on it, I mean, we played without Mitch, we played without Noel, both games, right? So, that culture, that next man up, Jericho Sims coming in, being able to play heavy minutes, something that probably wouldn't have happened if one or both of those guys were available. Um, and then the second game, same thing. Randall's out. You got Knox playing minutes where he probably wouldn't have if Randall was there, and people taking advantage of the opportunities. If I focus on just the second game, not only we add Randall being out to Noel and Mitch, but Kemba didn't particularly have a great game. So you think about missing three main rotation guys, and then a starting point guard who really didn't play well, and we still was able to pull that game away, and relatively easy. Um, so I'm just looking forward to full strength and full chemistry, and seeing where our real ceiling is.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Tiff that it's the chemistry part, and you too, Josh. Um, we had players out, players not playing well, and the ball was still moving. It wasn't getting stuck. We were still playing our offense, still, taking it to the basket when we could, shooting the threes when it was there. Even though in that second game it was 50, what was it, 52
Mm-hmm.
3-pointers. I was shocked because they were taken within the flow of the game. It didn't look like they were coming down and chucking like, why are we taking all of these threes? It was in the flow. It was in the flow of the game. I think that's what they want, and it's looking effortlessly. So it looks like they must have been, I'm sure, practicing this over and over and over because it looked effortless. So that's what stood out. And as I've talked about many times before, just how diverse and dynamic the offense is. And I think that just makes us more difficult to guard. Um, we got players who, any player, most of our players are a triple threat. When they get the ball, they can pass, they can shoot, they could take it off the dribble. That bodes well for us that teams are not going to be able to load up on one player and stop our offense. So I was really concerned about that. but I'm extremely happy. I mean, we have to tweak it some, like Tiff said in the second game we had, I think it was 11 turnovers. I want to say, was that in the first half or something like
Hmm.
that?
Yep.
Yeah, it's
Um,
crazy.
yeah, and to your point, Tiff, it may have been because Randall was out, just
Mhm.
throwing things off a little bit, perhaps.
Mhm. Mhm.
But still, I like this
Mhm.
offense, the way it's moving. As Josh said, we looking like the Golden State Warriors, San Antonio out there. That's gonna
Yeah.
help us.
Mhm.
Anything else before?
Actually, our young guys, like the development, we're
Mhm.
seeing Obi playing the best we've seen. We
Mhm.
seeing quickly come in with uh a new part of his game that he's focused on, and we kind of seeing the results from that. So and then RJ's defense, man. I mean, we know what we're gonna need for him this season, and I think he knows it too, and let's hope he continues to develop in that area.
For sure. And as a segue, let me just shout out to Chad. Appreciate you guys for joining us and for being active. Hit that like button, you know, or dislike button as long as you're engaged. We good. Um, just Tony, to segue into what you brought up too. Go with let's go with RJ. Let's go with RJ. Um, he scored about, I think, through the first two games, he's scoring about his season's average.
Hmm.
Some
17
drop
and a
off
half.
in rebounds, but he's playing the best offensive player on the other team. So versus Washington, for example, 18 points, 4 assists, as we said, 4 3-pointers. He didn't even play in the fourth quarter. Um, and in my opinion, I thought he played great defense on Bill. Before the preseason started, we talked about this possibly being his role, right? Being that defensive stopper. So, how do you think it worked out in the first two games? Is my question to the panel. And do you think this is something that he'll be good at going forward? And are you concerned that this may take away from his offense, putting out so much effort on the defensive end?
Mm. Can I lead off?
Yeah,
Go
absolutely.
ahead.
Um, I am not concerned. Um, I think mainly because of his youth. I think if there's any time where he's gonna be able to do both and do it at full energy, full strength, it's now. Maybe as his career gets to the tail end, he's gonna have to be more choosy as where he could exert his energy. But no, I think we got a taste of it last year. Um, and a lot of times it wasn't good, but I think Tibbs put him in that position a lot of times last year as well, where he had to guard bigger guys, guys that are known as scoring threats. Um, so I think he's somewhat prepared for it. Um, and then at the same time, I think he has no choice because that's the position he's gonna have to be in
Right.
anyway. So it's sink or swim at this point. And as we seen in the 2 years, I mean, this guy is a fighter. Has a bad game, comes back, has a good game. He does something bad in the beginning of the year. By the end of the year, it's almost a strength. So I'm not worried at all. I'm definitely looking forward to it, and I think this is what propels him, for a big leap.
Mhm.
So, if I to add on what Tony's saying, I think it's something we definitely can look forward to RJ playing. But I do have my concerns. I don't think he's at the level where we can see him night in and night out guard the opposing team's best player. Does he have the potential? Absolutely, but I need to see more. And I know it's preseason. I'm not going to go too crazy about it. I think he did hold Bradley Beal to some tough shots or whatever the case may be. But to be honest, it's preseason. I want to see this during the regular season for a stretch of games so that I know RJ Barrett is going to be that dude. Otherwise, it's just a wait and see for me right now. Does he have the potential to do it? Absolutely, but I need to see more.
Well, I mean, that's what we're saying. Does he have the potential? Do you think this could be his role, and do you think he'll be good at it? So I guess
Mhm.
you're saying you're not sure right now if he'll be good at it. You need to see more before you
I
come
need
to
to see
that
more.
type of conclusion. All right, fair enough.
Absolutely.
Tip.
I think two-way RJ is what he wants to be and what he's building up to be, and I think he even said that I guess, media day, when they
Mhm.
asked him, and he was very strong on that point that that's who he wants to be known as. So we saw it last year, and we're seeing in the preseason that he has the potential to do so. And if we believe in anybody on this team and what they say, and wondering if they're actually going to do it, we could definitely put that on RJ to do actually become that two-way player. So I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about RJ. His 3-point shot looks great. So if he wants to be that two-way 3 and D, but obviously have more to his game. So I'm definitely see it for two-way RJ. Definitely.
Yeah, I like you coining that name, two-way RJ. Gonna have to use that. I agree. I didn't think he looked great in the first game against Indiana. I thought there was some, defensive lapse. In the second game versus Bill, he looked fantastic.
Mhm.
In my opinion, Josh brought up a good point, not necessarily on the Queen's Court, that is he going to be locked in game in and game out, right? Is he just up because it's Beal? And that's the thing about being a two-way player. You think about Jimmy Butler, you think about the two-way players in this league. They're consistent, game in and game out. They take those tough assignments and they're pretty good game in and game out. Listen, with elite basketball players in this league, you're not going to stop them, right? You want to make it tough, make them take tough shots. Obviously, you're going to need help. You're not going to do it on your own,
Right.
but you don't want to be a turnstile out there. So I think he has that potential. But you're right, Josh. It's a mentality. It's a mental. It's mental in the sense that you're not going to back down, but it's also physical because that's a lot of energy. Because it's not like he doesn't have any offense and you can rest on the offense like AK, Elf, who I appreciated. I'm not an Elf hater. Um, but on offense, we still need him to hit some shots as well. So physically, it's gonna be a lot for him. But and yeah, I guess I could agree with Josh. I just want to see the consistency. I think he can definitely do it, but game in and game out, that's a tough ask, and still be good offensively.
Right.
The,
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
So
the, Go ahead,
Okay.
Josh.
Well, I just wanted to say,
go
like
ahead.
last season, we've seen the glimpses of RJ, being like, his 3-point shooting, for example. In the beginning, he didn't shoot that well overall, but he had his games where he was shooting well. And the knock on RJ for me has always been consistency. That's basically what it comes down to. Can you be able to do this night in and night out? Now, I understand there's going to be
Sure.
games where, it's not going to be there, right? Or a little onesie twosies. But you got to put together a string of games where you're going to be that dude. And with the Knicks not having Reggie Bullock there, who was the best one-on-one defender that we had on the team last year, someone else has to step up into that role. I doubt it's going to be Evan Fournier. Kemba Walker is not that strong defensively one-on-one, so it's going to be RJ Barrett. And in the game against Washington, even though one-on-one he looked really good against Bradley Beal, they still got too many open lanes. Their guards and their wings kept getting to the basket a lot, and it's going to put a strain on our big. So if RJ Barrett's going to take that role, I want to see him become more consistent with that. And I think that'll definitely help the team
But
defensively.
he can't play all three of the wings now. He can't play the
Of
point guard
course.
and the two wings, right?
Of
He,
course. Of course
he
not.
but he played Bradley Bill good. I mean, the other guys was getting to the wing. I mean to the lane. What you gonna do? I do think that's gonna be a problem for us. But I thought,
I'm just saying someone needs to step up and take that role. Someone has to step up and take that role. And I think right now it's prime position for RJ to take it, but I just need to see
right?
more.
Okay, okay. Tone, you was gonna say something,
Uh, my question to Josh is like, and it's rhetorical, but who's the alternative? I mean, I think we have no choice but to put that on RJ. So it really is sink or swim. As far as Tiffy, I could just hear the two-way RJ chants at the Garden, and we might even have to implicate that opening night anytime we
right?
see
Right,
a defensive play from RJ. So I
right,
agree. I,
right.
I love I love the term. And then my thing for Knicks fans in general, with RJ is, I mean, we have to appreciate the effort and understand that that's what we need, the effort. You know what I mean? It's a big man's league. Guys are gonna score. they always say good defense, better offense. We have to be able to live with that. You know what I mean? It's going to be times when guys are able to score, even though RJ's on them.
Mhm.
But if the effort is there, I mean, that's what we want. I think consistent effort is what I'm looking for more than necessarily him consistently stopping anyone. You know what I mean? It's all going to be a learning curve. So we gotta accept that as well. And I'm just looking forward to the ride. He's gonna have his moments and his guys that he has a physical advantage over, like I think a Beal. But then when he's gonna have to guard some of these taller guys, it could be that same exact effort, but a guy may just be able to shoot over him. You know what I mean? So that's what I want to see how the energy is on those type of situations. You know what I mean? Can we appreciate the effort even if the result wasn't of our liking?
Well, listen,
Well,
I would definitely appreciate the effort. RJ Barrett has always given us effort since he's been in the NBA. That's not my concern at all. Just because we have someone and he's the best guy and there is no alternative doesn't mean we have to accept mediocrity, right? So, I
Mhm.
mean, listen, again, if RJ Barrett is outmatched, sometimes again, there's nothing we can do about that. But if he's going to be that guy, I want to see him be that guy. I mean, it's not. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that. And I think effort is always going to be there with RJ Barrett. So I'm just taking it as it is. But if he's going to be that guy, I want to see him step up into that role, night in and night out.
but
That's all I'm saying.
we're talking on the defensive end. Is that what you're
On the
talking about?
defensive end, yes, on the
Okay.
defensive end.
Okay. But I will say you're not shutting these guys down. You're just not. You're just not
Right.
shutting these guys down. You're making it tough for them. But you're not. They're gonna get theirs. You just you know trying to make it as hard as you can.
Right.
And
But
real quick, I think Bullock was our most versatile defender. I really believe Randall was our best defender last year. I think what
but he
Bullock
was in
did,
them. Bullock
Bullock
was on
did
the wing though.
yeah, but that was the thing. He was versatile. He was able to guard the three, the two, even the one at times if need be. Um, and I think that's where his value lied more than his, because he got beat. You know what I mean? He got beat at times. You know what I mean? And it's back to that point. You're not gonna really stop anyone. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, it's really about that effort and that IQ defensively. Don't give it to them. Make them earn it.
Well, I
RJ
guess
can
when
do that.
I just want to say one last thing on this RJ point from my point of view. Reggie Bullock, yes, he was very, very versatile. That's what made him important. But at the end of games, when other teams needed a bucket, they put Reggie Bullock on that person. That's the role for RJ Barrett. If we're talking about him guarding the other team's best player, that's the role I want to see for RJ. And listen, Reggie Bullock, as much people say, we didn't miss much by losing Reggie Bullock on defense. Reggie Bullock in that game against Orlando took the ball out of Evan Fournier's hands and won us that ball game. So I want to see RJ Barrett step up into that type of role at the end of games, guarding the opposing team's best player. And we've seen him do it in some occasions. I just want to see more of it.
Tiff, anything you want to add to this before we?
Yeah, definitely. As JJ is saying, the consistency, and I definitely think you'll definitely see more of it because it'll be asked of him. Because Bullock is not here anymore. Bullock definitely, I think, was probably our best defender if I had to choose somebody. And he's basically going to be replacing Bullock's workload on that side on defense.
Right.
So
Right.
he's just going to have to grind it out and step up and be that person that he thinks he can be. And he said it himself. Like I said, he said it out his mouth. He wants to be known as a good two-way player. So he better go out and start to do
And
it.
be,
And
yeah.
when he does that, it'll take the whole team to a different level.
And you
Absolutely.
know what? That's the same thing I said last week. If RJ can be that defensive stopper for us, I don't even care if his points go down to 15, 16. If he can be that for us, we're a different team. And he can be our second best player and not even be the second leading scorer on this team. He's getting 15 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, playing really good defense against the opposing best wing player on that team. The Knicks are a different team. The Knicks are a different team. And to Tiff's point, he didn't just say this in a media day. He said this coming into the league that he
Right.
wanted to be known as being a two-way player.
Mhm.
And his opportunity has come. You know, I mean,
Yep.
that opportunity was
Now's the
always
time.
there,
Right.
but now to be, you know,
Relied upon.
relied upon.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Um, all right. Um, Tony mentioned Obi, so let's talk about that. Obi and IQ both talked about being in the gym right after the season ended, probably a day or two afterwards, and pretty much every day since then. Both of them talked about their game expanding. Uh, what have you seen the first two games, if anything, that makes you believe that has actually happened, that their game has actually gotten better? Tiff, we'll start with you.
Well, for Obi, is you can see he's not thinking about it anymore. He's just taking the ball and just going. He's taking what the defense is giving to him. His teammates are definitely helping him out, finding him in the right spots. That's been great
Mhm.
to see. And at him as a starter, he didn't get off to a great start in the second preseason game against the Wizards. But as the
Mhm.
game was going on, you started to see him get his spots, hit a three there, got a three here. You got that alley from Evan.
Mhm.
So if he could continue to do those things while Julius is playing, him coming off the bench and with the second unit, which I think he has even more of a chemistry with,
Mhm.
it'll be even better. So just seeing those little things, and even the defense, like even on the defense, I
Yeah.
think he even had a steal against the Wizards,
Yeah.
and he's just more aware. He's using his length to to his advantage. He did have like four fouls, but I feel like a couple of them were like
Mhm.
maybe a little ticky tacky, but it's
Mhm.
preseason, so he's gonna learn from that hopefully. So I love Obi. I love a lot of people didn't like picking him at eighth and said Halliburton, whatever. I was like, look, bring me Obi. I said that before we drafted. I was like, bring me Obi, and this is why, because once he really reaches his full potential, he's gonna be great in the Garden. Like he's gonna be a Knick. He's from New York. Like that's why I wanted him here. Like he could be a special talent. So I'm excited for Obi.
Yeah, I definitely wanted him here as well, but I can't tell you that I wasn't disappointed once he did get here in that in that first season. But he's looking right now. Josh?
I was always high on Obi. I wanted the Knicks to draft him at number 8. Obviously, the first season didn't turn out the way I wanted it for him early on. I
Mhm.
Mm.
think not having a summer league and all that stuff definitely played a factor into it. But now that he had a summer league, had a full off season, and it's coming off a pretty, I don't want to say decent playoffs, but we've seen what he's able to do a little bit. I think
Mhm.
Obi Toppin is in prime position to take another step this year. And like I said in previous shows, and I'm going to continue to say it, with the depth the Knicks have offensively, they can afford to rest Julius Randle a little bit longer. They can afford to rest RJ Barrett a little bit longer to get Obi out there. And I don't think we're losing that much from a production standpoint when we put Obi out there. I really don't think we're missing that much. I think Obi Toppin's going to take that next step, and I'm really high on him.
I mean, I'm high on him too, but I don't know if I'm gonna say we're not missing much when he comes in for Randall. I mean, Randall is on another level than Obi, for sure. But I don't think it's going to be a huge drop off like it was last season when you was like, oh my goodness, I hope we don't go into the hole while Obi, is in the game. It's not going to be. It's not going to be that. Um, and I agree. He is a skilled basketball player at this point. And this is something I can get excited about. Like I couldn't quite understand, in my opinion, why fans were so excited about him last year. To me, he was just running and jumping. But this year, he's hitting the three. He's hitting. I saw him take a mid range off the catch. I saw him, at least even in summer league, put the ball on the floor and pull up for the mid range. The other, I forgot what game it was. Was it India or Washington where he did that nice move mid post
Spin move.
extended? Yeah,
Indiana.
the spin Indiana, the spin move. I mean, he's looking like a skilled basketball player. And then Tiff's point, he's hitting his defensive rotations. I watched the game again. Yes, I guess it was today. He moved the ball.
Mm,
He was moving the ball. It came to him at the top. He didn't feel like he had to take every shot, or he was scared and
right,
moving it like a hot potato. He
right,
was
right.
playing within the flow of the offense, and he looks really, really good. So again, I'm not sure where these minutes are coming from. I think Randall may get 2 or 3 less minutes than last season. But knowing Tibbs, he ain't not going down to 28, 30. Hopefully, we'll be blowing teams out and he can rest then and Obi can get more minutes. But I'm definitely liking what I see. Josh, before I get to a slide I have Obi and Knox when Randall was out. Tony, anything on Obi?
Um, I mean, I said it mid-season last year. I thought he was gonna be that guy that it was gonna take him a full season to like come in the next year. Like he kind of had that mo in college. He had the first year in college where he wasn't that productive. And one thing about last year, you can tell he was listening and learning on the fly. You know what I mean? Like anytime he had an interview, post game interview, practice interview, he tell you what he did wrong or what he needs to work on, and credit to him. You could tell he's worked on all of his flaws, and so I'm looking forward to where he ends up. Hopefully, some of these fans they crazy. They see a little bit of production from Obi, and it's like Trey Randall. You know what I mean? Like let's
Oh my God!
let's be
right.
let's be
He
realistic.
played better than
True.
Randall in the playoffs. right.
Let's
Yeah.
let's let this
Nonsense.
guy just grow and be a piece and
Right.
enjoy the pieces we have.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Before I pull up this slide, let me give Sherman M uh, some airplay. He said, I'm so sick of listening to the ridiculous Obi talk. That man is a god awful defender. Question to the panel.
Mm.
What can Obi do better than Knox? Now I'm a Knox fan, but there's some things Obi can do better than Knox. I'm gonna anybody want
Oh
to take that
man.
question or not really?
What does
Well,
That's
Josh
I'll
always
that's
take
say
it.
that's
about
that's
Mitch?
definitely Knox's cousin or something because you can't be serious.
Well,
And
listen,
I love
listen.
Knox too, but they're like, come on, seriously, like I don't know.
I'm,
I just, I
I
don't know.
mean, listen.
That's I think
Last
he's trying
season,
to be funny, maybe. I don't know. But
Mm-mm.
Knox, I love Knox. I think he's a great shooter, but he doesn't have nearly the motor that Obi has. Like he just doesn't have it. Like I love Knox. Like I think he's a great shooter. I think that's his best attribute. Like I think he just doesn't click every time down the other side of the floor. And for Obi, you see it clicking. Like when's the last time you heard Thibs call out Obi from the
This year.
sideline like he used to
Right.
do, right? Like during the
Right.
preseason, because he used to do that all the time
Right.
last season. Like he's doing his job. Knox, I saw him twice, and I love Knox. I saw him twice against the Wizards, like two defensive, like I think Kuzma came down the lane straight on him, didn't, put a body on
First
nothing.
first
Like I
possession.
didn't see that from Obi at all. Maybe I missed it, but like, I love Knox. He could contribute if he probably had the same minutes as Obi, but that's a little ridiculous. Come on.
well. If we're talking about last season, I think Sherwin would be correct if you're talking about last season because I
Maybe.
think I think we all were talking about why is Thibodeau preferring Obi over Knox when Obi was kind of a liability out there on defense, especially.
Right.
But now, if you look at the summer league and you look at these first two preseason games, it's
Right.
no question that Obi Toppin is the better player. He can put the ball on the floor, and in the summer league, Obi Toppin was a go-to guy in the offense, a go-to
Right.
number one option. So, and I think we haven't seen that from Knox yet. So, listen, I think we're talking about two different seasons here. I think Sherwin is still stuck in last season. Move on to this season, and you'll be able to see Obi Toppin has taken that step, and I think it's gonna definitely be there throughout the season, particularly if Randall's not healthy or whatever the case may be. I think we got something to Obi Toppin, and we need to give him a chance.
Yeah.
You,
I mean,
you,
I will go ahead, Tony.
he took my point anyway. You know what I mean? Last year you could have made that argument.
Right.
This year, but I will say the biggest difference between the two of them is confidence, 100%. Obi, like I said, he knows when he makes mistakes. He doesn't pout about it. Like Knox, any mistake he makes, you see it, the reflection of it on the floor. You see he's visibly upset about it, but it damages him. Where Obi's ready to make the next play. All right, next time I'm not going to make that mistake. Knox is literally, I mean, and you understand it, but he was worried about getting pulled after
Right.
anything wrong.
Right.
Obi wasn't.
Right. Rand said compare both rookie seasons. Yeah, I think Obi. I mean, Knox did have a better rookie season than Obi. But like Josh and Tony said, we talking about this year. Now, if we talking about last year, I was on Obi. If you remember, I thought he was gifted minutes. I thought that Knox probably should have played, and Knox was in the rotation. And like a fart in a dust storm, next thing you know, he was out the rotation, and and here come Obi. I was like, well, you know what happened? Listen, I think Knox can do more things than he's showing. Like he can bring the ball, he can bring the ball up the court. I thought his rebounding was good yesterday. He had 6 rebounds. He looked strong in those rebounds. He also played within the confines of the offense. His shot was good, and he could have forced a few more shots, and he did not. When plays were on him, he moved the ball, and that showed me that he's understanding offensive concepts. Defensively, he did have some laps, but listen, I think everybody on the Knicks had some lapses at one point or another. But
Yeah.
I would still say at this point, I would have to give Knox the nod. You have to wonder if Knox was gifted minutes last year. Would he have also come along and develop the same way? I'm not sure. But let's pull up that slide of what both Knox and Obi did in um, Randall's absence. And it was actually the tale of two halves, right? Because Knox had all of his points, I believe, in the first half, and Obi had all of his in the second. But between the two of them, 25 points, 14 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 53% from the field and 50% from 3-point range. So that bodes well for us. I think if Randall ever has to have to miss a game, I feel confident in these two. Their games are a bit different. But I feel confident in both of them. And I think, listen, Knox is still situational. But I think if somebody goes down either on the wing or Randall or even Obi, I would think that his performance at least would get him in the lineup as opposed to Tibbs going with a 3-man rotation, which would be like, wow, like Knox is really out if he's going with a 3 guard rotation. What do you think? Do you think that Knox would be the next guy up if Randall or one of the guards go down, one of the wings go down?
Ooh, that's going to be very, very tough. Very, very tough because if this was last year, I would be saying the Tibbs is definitely going with that 3 guard rotation. You're going to see more of that. You're going to see Obi out there. But now, I think Kevin Knox played well in the limited minutes that he got the last game without Randall, and let's see if this can continue. Preseason games, I think in the last couple preseason games, Knox will get more of an opportunity to play. So let's see how he performs. I think it's like a wait and see moment right now. I'm not really sure.
Okay.
Not I think so. I think number one, because we're talking about if it's not Knox, we're talking about one of the two rookies, correct? That's gonna be
Or
stepping
more
up.
minutes for like Burks.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like the 3 guard rotation.
Right.
I mean, I'm sorry. All right. So re-ask the question. So I'm answering
like
it correctly.
If Randall was to go out, is Knox the next person? We know Obi will probably move into the starting lineup with Knox, take Obi's minutes. But also, let's say a Burks got injured or a Rose got injured and he moved IQ, the point guard, and he moved. And, do you think he would move Burke over to 2 and play Knox, or go with a three guard lineup and stagger the minutes, with the starters and maybe have RJ play a little more minutes or Fournier?
I think Knox is the next guy, the next guy up. Like when you're talking about the 10-man rotation, if we lose one of them, especially if it's the 4 or the 3 or the 2 position, because we have guys that can slide, he's the next guy up before some of the younger guys. For one, Tibbs has already seen him. He knows what he got from him. He's been in the rotation before. Like, I really believe the younger guys, it's going to take a lot more effort and a lot more. They're going to have to show a lot more in practice and things of that sort to jump Knox in the rotation, at least immediately. Now, if Knox gets his opportunity and doesn't perform, and then once he slides below one of these other guys, it's going to be hard for him to get back ahead of the field. So, but I think Knox is the next guy up after that, initial 10 man rotation.
What do you think, Tiff?
Yeah, I think Knox is definitely the next guy up, just like he was for the Washington game. I think he was trying that out because that's the situation that would happen. Knox would be the next guy up. So yeah,
Right.
definitely. But also I just think it would be situational. Depends on the game. If
Right.
if JR, Julius is out against the Nets, like I don't think Knox. I mean, depending, maybe Knox is the guy, but depending on how the game is going, they might go with more minutes for RJ, more minutes for Burke, stuff like that. So, but yeah, he'll definitely be the next guy up.
Okay. All right. Um, Initial impressions of IQ. From last year to this year, a lot of division amongst the fan base about
Hmm.
whether or not he is a point guard. For me, it's just can he at least play it if
Mm-hmm.
we need him, if we need him to. But he's been working on his game as well. Have you guys seen any improvement, any difference in IQ's game since last season?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely, I've seen a difference. His playmaking is definitely improved. I think that was the question that we all had, like who can be that third point guard with the
Mhm.
uncertainty between Derrick Rose and Kemba Walker's injury history or whatever, what have you. Can IQ step up and be that third point guard? And he hasn't really
Right.
disappointed. I think
Mhm.
he definitely has improved on his offensive game. Still has that ability to be a sniper and shoot from the logo or whatever the case may be. But his
Mhm.
ability to get into the paint and be able to knock down some mid range floaters or mid range jump shots, if you will, or at least setting up his the big guys for a lob threat. I think Emmanuel quickly is really, really good at that. And I
Yeah.
think that's something that we really can expect him to do during the course of the season. So I think he's definitely improved in that aspect. And I'm very, very confident about his ability.
Yeah. Tiff?
Yeah, IQ looks great. Just like Josh said, he looks amazing. I think his handling looks better, his
Yeah.
decision making, his passing, everything looks better. Like his shooting, his decision making when he's gonna shoot even looks better. Even
Right.
when he's gonna take those deep shots, those deep shots look better than some of the deep shots he was taking last season
Right.
because Tibbs wants him to take those shots. Like he wants him to take those deep shots, but even when he's taking them, where he's taking them, the situation in the game, he's taking them the first two preseason games.
Hmm.
He's looked great. He's like doing the right things, and what Tibbs is asking, you could tell Tibbs has been on him throughout the off season and through the summer leading up to camp. So he looks great. I'm excited for him. He's a hard worker, and you could just tell he's been working. Like even his mid range game looks great. I haven't seen him
Absolutely.
do like maybe a couple of floaters. I've seen him
Mm-hmm.
do, but besides that, like he did a pull up. I think at one point.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's what I've been wanting to see him and see if he's gonna add that pull up to because he needs that. That floater is not gonna work all the time, as we saw in the playoffs
Right.
and even during the season last season. So IQ looks great. I'm happy for him. I'm excited.
Yeah, definitely. Tone?
I love it. We have a consensus. You know what I mean? There's like nobody. Like I don't understand the people who are arguing about what they've seen from Quickly so far. If you want to say since
Agendas.
last year, because I mean it really makes no sense. The complaints. Now, granted, he hasn't shot the ball well, but that's the least of my worries as far as him. Like
Hmm.
Right.
we've seen what he can do. We know if he has nothing else, he's confident in himself. So that shot is gonna turn around whether he's in a slump or not. It's gonna turn around. But the fact that we're seeing him improve on the parts that he was lacking last year, like the number
Hmm.
one complaints from him last year, he's improved on them, all
Right.
of them. Ball handling, facilitating,
Yeah.
decision making, even defense. Like he's
Yes.
literally improved on every aspect of what people complained about last year, and now they're complaining that he's shooting bad. He's shooting a bad percentage.
Hmm.
Like I mean, other than that, I don't know what else there even is to complain about. I agree with you guys. I love everything I'm seeing from him. And I love the pairing of him and Obi all off season, like building that chemistry and things of that nature. We're in such a good position as a team, like
Yeah,
Yeah.
for years to come.
yeah, no doubt about it. I'm impressed as well. Even his little defensive stance, he kills me. When the guy has the ball, he's down in his little stance. I'm like, look at IQ. Um, it's perfect too. His defensive
Mhm.
stance is
His
perfect.
defense has been great. Like I feel like
Yeah,
his defense
yeah,
is
yeah,
great too.
definitely.
Like
Yeah, I mean, I
I'm
think he
impressed.
knows. Yeah, I think he knows that. Maybe he's feeling the heat of that McBride selection too. Like, if I want to stay on the court, knowing Tibbs, I have to be good on the defensive end as well. And I definitely see improvement. I think in the Indiana game, he took some long shots that
Hmm.
it was kind of a little bit unnecessary. But
Hmm.
against Washington, he stuck close to the 3 point line. His decision making was good. His play, listen, I think he could be a point guard in this league. This is the point guards nowadays. They are pass, they are shoot first, and that's what sets up their passing. That's just the way it is right now. And I don't really think he needs to do much, in that respect. Just keep playing, the way he's playing. And I feel really comfortable if Kimba has to miss some time, if Derrick Rose has to miss some time. I feel comfortable with IQ at that position
In the regular season, though.
in the regular season. Listen, in the playoffs, we thought we had a good team. When you go into the playoff, we was withered down to Rose and Taj. And those the
Not
ones
Rose
with the
and Taj
playoff with the playoff experience, right?
experience. Yeah.
So
And,
this year, Fournier has that experience, Kimba has that experience,
Yeah.
Randall will have that experience, and plus he'll have more outlets, so it'll be less pressure
mm,
on him as well. But the playoffs is a different beast. You're
Mm.
absolutely right. You're absolutely right. All right. Lastly, before we move on to some analytics, I want to compare a few these two preseason games to last season. Any thoughts on Tibbs not expanding the rotation, pretty much going with the regular season 10-man rotation in the preseason, pretty much deep into the fourth, and not really seeing McBride and Grimes or even other players that might be vying for that last playoffs. I mean, excuse me, position.
No, I mean I expected this. He did this last season. The first couple preseason games or
Yeah.
the first three preseason games, you've seen a bunch of the starters out there and all the rotation guys out there. But in the last preseason game, it was more of like those bench guys, situational guys fighting for that last roster spot. So I expect it to be more of the same this season. And I think wasn't it less preseason games last year due to COVID? I'm not mistaken. I think it was like only 3 or something like
true.
that. But it was like 2, right? So like in that last game, you've seen more of the situational guys out there, and I think that it'll be the same way this season. I think Tibbs at some point is going to get really comfortable with the chemistry. I mean, we love the chemistry watching it on TV, so I can imagine how Tibbs feels about it. And it's going to be a lot of the Knox and the Amir Sims and the Grimes and the McBride, and I think that'll happen a lot in the Pistons game and the last preseason game as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, was one more question. Before that, initial impressions of our two new players, really quick. Fournier
Mm.
and Kimber. Any initial impressions on them? It's our first time seeing them in organized play, anyway.
Yeah.
Upgrade.
Definitely. That's like definitely the first thing. Upgrade. Like I said earlier, the chemistry already. Like Kemba
Mhm.
looks, home. Like he definitely looks comfortable. Evan, he looks great. Like like every time I feel like when the Knicks played Evan Fournier, he killed us. Maybe I'm just not remembering properly, but I feel like every time we play, even a game last season in Orlando, like that made me so mad. We lost to them in Orlando. Like I feel like he killed us. So I'm happy he's on our side. He looks great.
Mhm.
He looks like
Mhm.
he's finding his teammates. He looks like him and Julius are trying to find a little 2-man thing
Mhm.
to help us during the season. I'm looking forward to that combination. They look great to me. Like I'm excited. Of course everybody's worried about Kemba's knee and stuff like that, but I'm not worried about stuff like that until it comes up. So the
Hmm.
fact that it keeps getting bought up and all of that stuff, it's like people are hoping it happens, and it's like it hasn't happened yet. Like he has to ice his knees. That's fine. Like a lot of NBA players have to ice their joints after games. Like let him be. Like if it comes up in the day he's injured and it's his knees, then I'll worry. But like for right now, if he says he's healthy and Tibbs thinks it's okay for him to go out there and play the 20 minutes or whatever he's been playing the last two games, then so be it. Like I have no problem with that. And like I said, I love Evan Fournier. And I'm glad he's on our side.
Yeah. Tone.
Um, I'm probably gonna relay like my real judgment until maybe like 20 games in. Um, but everything I like, I was high on getting both these guys just because of what they're gonna do for us in the long term. Once we're in a playoff series. Um, but yeah, I got no complaints at this moment. I'm not super high on them. Like they didn't shock me or astound me as of yet. You know what I mean? I'm waiting for. I want to see how it works consistently throughout the season. But obviously, both those guys can score, pass, shoot, dribble. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they're threats. We did not have that last year from those two positions. So
Okay. Josh, anything you want to add?
No, everyone pretty much hit everything on the head. I mean, listen, it's definitely an upgrade between Kimba and Evan Fournier offensively.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't my concern at all. I guess my initial concern when we signed Evan Fournier was we didn't have a point guard at the time. That was our
Hmm.
big
Right.
free, acquisition, and that's what I was really, really concerned about with the Knicks bringing him in and us not having that much money to go out and sign all the other point guards that were available. And then the next day, they signed Kemba Walker to the $8 million contract, and all that stuff kind of went away. And I think Kemba Walker saved the Knicks free agency. So I'm still sticking with that, and I'm glad Kemba Walker is starting off healthy, and hopefully he can keep it up there throughout the season.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't want to rain on our parade, but Kimba's defense has not been great. Those first two games, and especially against Washington, playing a bigger, he's playing Dinwiddie, who's bigger, shot over the top, and just strength wise was able to get past him. Bradley Beal got past him as well, but we knew that coming in. So it's just about team defense. And having hopefully Noel and Mitch back there to clean up some things for us. Mitch being more disciplined, so hopefully he won't be getting into foul trouble. I will say this about Kemba: the effort is there, so it's not like
Hmm.
he's just not playing defense. The effort is there. It's just more of a size. It's just more of a size thing. Tony.
Um,
Right.
can I just add, like,
Mm-hmm.
how sometimes you watch a game and you see in a player or whatever, and then at the end of the game, like you're like, oh man, I didn't realize he had 20 points. I didn't
Mm.
realize he had 8 assists.
Yeah,
So
Mm-hmm.
that like, so Kemba, that second game, as bad as he played, you know what I mean. I didn't realize he like the numbers were that low until I looked at him at the end. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I'm gonna consider that like as a good sign. You know what I mean? Like even though it was times early it seemed like Dinwiddie was targeting him in that first half. Um not maybe not so much in the second half. I don't know how much they played in the second half either,
Mm-hmm.
but it didn't look like even though he had that minor stretch, he got pulled, Rose came
Mm-hmm.
in, played great. But then when he came back in, it was no more of that. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
he was able to find his rhythm in the game, not necessarily in his shot, but within the game. And
Right.
he did good things for us. Picked up the
Absolutely.
charge, um, had a
Mm.
couple dimes. So
Right.
I'm not concerned. He's a true vet.
And
Good.
you're not concerned about the defense at all?
Oh, I'm not concerned long term yet. Like let me see where he is in 20 games. Let me see
Yeah,
how
20
how
games
he
is yeah.
how he bounces back from a bad
Mhm.
half. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like and again, maybe it's the combination because Rose came in and that stopped. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And Rose was producing on the other end like immediately
Mhm.
as soon as he. So if that's gonna be the mo when Kemba don't got it, Rose has it,
Mhm.
and it might be a back and forth thing.
Right.
I'll live with that. I mean, that's what we talked about.
Right. Right.
Hmm.
All right. Let's get into some stats. I was able to create a chart. We probably won't get into all of it, but I'll let you guys pick out which one you want to talk about. but I basically went over the first two games, our preseason games, and basically what we're averaging in points, assists, steals, offensive, defensive rating, pace over the first two games. It's early, it's only two games, so I don't want to get too carried away. And in parentheses is where we rank in the NBA preseason. And then I compared that to, what we scored and what our rank was in the 2020 last season's preseason and last season regular season. And you can see in virtually every category,
Mm.
we're doing better this year. So far, again, only two games. But points, 121 points per game, which is second to only the Brooklyn Nets. Um, 3-point attempts, 44.5 3-point attempts per game, which is sixth in the league so far. We're hitting 17.5, which is second in the league so far. I want to go down to our offensive rating, 100. So this is per 100 possessions, right? Just to make sure that it's equivalent across teams so that you can compare teams. 115.2 points a game, which is third. Our defensive net rating is 97.1, which is third. And the big one for me is our net rating. The difference between our offense and defense is 18.1 points. It's not really
Wow.
close. And if you look at the preseason, our offense was 101. Defense was 91, so it was 10.1. And look at the regular season, 2.4 differential between our offense and defense. That means a lot of close games, really relying on your defense to pull it out. And our pace, in the preseason, we're 12th in pace. Last preseason, we were 29th. And in the regular season, we were last. So
Wow.
I just want to ask you guys just to pick one of these stats that stands out to you, and tell us if you think it's sustainable in the regular season. Josh, I mean, Tony
All right,
got
go
his
ahead,
hand
Tom.
up
Go ahead.
first.
Go ahead, Tom. You got it.
I'm gonna go with pace.
Hmm.
I'm gonna go with pace. Number one, I mean, if you're last in the league, 29th in the league, there's no place to go but up, right? like so, and we know it was a point of emphasis. With Obi taking another step, I think that's gonna help. With two adequate point guards now, I think that's gonna help. So I could see us hovering right there throughout the season at 12, if not even improving more, depending on how much we're relying on a 3-point shot. So I'm gonna go with pace. Definitely sustainable. It may even improve. So I'm gonna say between 15, anywhere between 10 and 15. I think we could end up right there for pace for the year.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else want to talk
I
about what
think
stands out for them, Tiff?
Go ahead, Tiff. Yeah, go ahead, Tiff.
for points. What can you tell me the points again? You said it was
Sure.
one.
We're averaging 121 points over the first two preseason games, which is second in the league behind Brooklyn, who's first.
I don't think that's sustainable, but we could be close to that. Why not? Like I feel like we had a lot of missed opportunities in the first two games, especially in the second game with turnovers. I think our offense is that much better, so why not? I definitely think like we could sustain that.
Yeah. I mean, I could see us being in top five.
I was gonna say top five at least.
Yeah. Yeah,
I could definitely
definitely
see us.
top
I
10.
could definitely top 10. I could see us
Yeah.
top five. Definitely top 10.
Yeah. Second, I don't know if second is
Second is a little, yeah,
yeah,
because I think probably the Bucks, or I think they have a great offensive team,
yeah,
so I probably
Golden
think
State.
they'll be up there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's we're talking about 25th in the league, 25th in preseason. Again, that's the same type of huge jump. I think if our points are gonna jump up that much, even if the league improved like everyone says, if we improve that much, that gives us a bigger window of where we drop defensively. Not that I want us to drop any a lot defensively, but it opens up that window if we're scoring that much. And we think about we doing this without our bigs, without the rim protection these past two
Right.
games.
Yeah.
So for me, and I think you can point at a lot of them, and obviously, like these numbers are very,
Yeah.
very,
Early. Yeah,
very
yeah.
early, right? But
We'll
for me,
revisit it next year, next week as well.
for me, it has to be the pace. It has to be the pace. It has
Mhm.
to be the pace because, I mean, listen, look. Last season, the Knicks were, or again, they were 30th, and then the year before that, they were 29th in pace. So this team has always been a slow team, half court, not pushing the ball up the floor. I wish we had transition points up there. I want to see what that is. But
Good point.
again, the pace allows you to get up more shots. And with the players that the Knicks have now, the upgrades that we have offensively, if we can get those guys to shoot more shots, that's how you get 121 points per game because we are putting up more shots. And I think that's something that we definitely needed to improve on. And listen, the proof is in the pudding. These numbers will definitely tell you that
Yeah.
an improvement in pace means that the Knicks are going to score more points. And if they can do that, combined with a little bit of shades of what they did defensively last season, this team can really make some noise in the Eastern Conference. So for me, it's the pace, and Tone definitely took the words right out of my mouth.
Right. For me, it's the net rating. I thought last season, um, like our offensive rating was 22nd in the league. Our defensive rating was fourth. And the difference between those two was just 2.4 points. And
Yeah.
that's basically, you're scoring 110, you're
Mhm.
giving up 107. So that
Mhm.
means those are tight games,
Mm-hmm.
and we saw
They
that.
were.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, we saw that how if our defense was off for like 2, 3, 4 possessions in a row down the stretch, we would
Yeah.
lose the game,
Mm-hmm.
or go
Yeah.
into overtime. We just didn't have that much of a cushion, as great as our defense was. And now, and I believe this is sustainable. Is it going to be 18 points? Probably not. But it's not going to be 2.4, the difference between our
Mhm.
offense and defense. Right now, our defensive rating is third in the league. I expect that to probably drop a little bit, and I'm okay with that. But the difference between our offense and defense is 18 points. And what that means is easy wins. What that means is
Yes.
you don't have to sweat it out down the stretch.
Mm-hmm.
What that means is, if you're old enough, the 90 Knicks, if the 90 Knicks had a 8 point deficit with like a 8 minutes left. I said, "Oh, we losing. Ain't no way we gonna make up 8 points in 8 minutes." I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's how tough, it was in terms
Mhm.
of us trying to score. So,
Mhm.
18 points. That means we'll win some easy games. That means we'll be able to rest Randall more. We'll
There you
be able
go.
to rest
That's the point I
our
wanted to get at.
yeah, not
Yep.
RJ, he's young. Rose and Kimba more. Now that means that
Right.
Tibbs would have to take advantage of. It's not really something that he does, but
Mm-hmm.
hopefully he will. And again, I don't expect it to stay at 18, but
Mhm.
10 would be great, you know, um, to ease up, to ease up a little bit. So again, our offensive rating, I think will be, top 10. Our defensive rating, I think will be top 10. We can get that net rating like 10 points difference.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I'm good. I'm happy, and I think that would be sustainable.
I
Anything else? Go
I
ahead.
no, I agree
Yeah.
100%. That's a great one. And you think about it, 2.4 point differential. That's the point differential, right? Two point
Yeah.
four.
Mm-hmm.
So think about this. That's what our offense improving throughout the year. Because I
Right.
remember
Right. Right.
a third of the season we was averaging 104 and giving up 104. And it was
Right.
like
Mhm.
that, for the first third of the season. It was like you ain't know if we was gonna win or lose, but you
Yeah,
knew
we're a 500 team. Yep.
you knew
Right. Right.
one of us was gonna get 104
Yeah.
and it was
Right.
like
Right.
so that's another great stat. We I like that one.
And
The pace
18.1.
is
Tony,
on
at one
purpose.
point it
Let's
was
cut that
point
in
Yeah.
half.
nine. At one
Mm.
Mm.
point it was point nine, the
Yeah, the
difference between
differential.
the
Yeah,
offense. Yeah, that was tight.
and I always used to look at that stat, not really knowing what it meant, but just looking at when you look at the teams, all the teams, and who's in what order in the standings, they would show you that point differential. and I used to look at this for years and notice, what teams were in red. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Meaning you have a winning record maybe, but you're actually giving up more points than you're earning as far as
Right.
on the
Right.
season. And some teams can sustain that for a long stretch. You know what I mean? We were one
Yeah.
of them last year, but
Right.
ultimately those teams end up getting booted by the end of the by the
Right.
time the
Right.
playoffs are here. They
Right.
don't make it because
Right.
all those close games, you're edging some out, you're losing some. So that's a great stat.
Yeah.
And also with that as well, because the games are so tight with the offensive and defensive ratings, outside of Julius Randle, the Knicks didn't really have anybody else they can go to at the end of those close games to knock down
Hmm.
shots. Right. And now, even though we have some of those players that we can go to outside of Julius Randle, or, like Kemba, maybe Evan Fournier, we won't have to use them as much. But again, it just
Right.
gives you a little bit more cushion where you don't have to
Right.
rely on Julius Randle to take that last shot all the time.
Right.
And the
Right.
playoffs is going to get much closer. But,
Right.
during the regular season, I think, it definitely bodes well moving forward.
That's a good point. We have players that can do it, but it may not come down to that.
Mm-hmm.
Where
Right.
we have to get a last. Remember, RJ, he was close though. Had to do the last second shot against
Right.
Miami.
Yep.
I think Philly, both of those came down to last few possessions. We played
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. It came down to a last possession. So yeah, I mean, we have more
Hmm.
options, but hopefully it won't get to that.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else before we close out the show? Looking at the two games that's coming up. Nope.
Who are we
All right.
playing? We're playing Detroit. I'm looking forward to
Yeah,
that game. I
yeah,
want to
yeah.
see him.
We getting ready to pull up the slide. Um, we're playing Detroit Wednesday,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
Friday we're gonna play Washington
Washington
again.
again.
Now Detroit has only played one preseason game. They played a second preseason game tonight. Cade Cunningham, the rookie number one pick, did not play in that game. I'm not sure if he's playing tonight. I'm not sure if he's going to be available for us, but I think I heard that he was. But it's still it's still early. They have I think Cade, Killian, Grant. Their
Yeah.
centers now is split between Isaiah Stewart and Olenek, who came over from Houston, I believe, and played for Miami. And Wednesday
I'm
we
just
play
seeing.
Washington again. Anything you're looking to see over these next two games?
I just want to see
Jericho
them.
Sims.
Oh, Jericho Sims. We can
Hey,
see
that's
about it.
if we see
We
him.
didn't even talk about
Yeah.
Jericho, right?
Yeah.
Noel's back. We don't even know if we're gonna
Oh
see
yeah,
him.
Nerlens is back. I'm looking
So
forward to seeing Nerlens. I want him to be able to, catch the ball when
Yeah.
He's
when it
50.
comes to him. So hopefully he's been
Right.
working on that because I know
Mhm.
that had to be a point of emphasis. We all saw it, so they had to see it on their side. So, but I'm looking
Right.
forward to seeing him. I'm looking forward to seeing the real starting lineup. So hopefully Mitch is on his way soon. That's what I'm looking forward to. I really want to see Mitch because I think if Mitch is healthy and Mitch is that person that player that we think I think most Knicks fans think Mitch is. That even takes it to a different level. So it's RJ being that defender and being that two-way player. It's Mitch coming back and being healthy and taking that
Right.
leap. Right? It's
Right.
all of these things that can hopefully come together and make us better than that fourth seed that we were
Right.
last year.
Right.
So that's what I'm looking forward to. But I don't think he's coming back within these last two preseason games. So, but we'll see. I heard
Yeah.
he's working out and stuff.
Yeah. Anybody else? What you looking for over the last two preseason games?
um I mean, I guess I want to see if Josh is right, and we do see more of these young guys. Because if we don't see them now, I'm telling you, they're gonna be hard pressed. And again, this is a good thing to me. So,
That
but
is a good thing.
they're gonna be hard pressed to get some time, unless it's an injury. Knock on wood, and that's not what it is. So hopefully we get to see some of the young guys, especially this next game. Um,
Hmm.
let them play against Kate Cunningham, some high profile rookies, you know what I mean, and young guys, just to see where they stack up against the future. You know what I mean? I'd say the future meaning like some more young guys in a more prominent role.
Right. Well, I want to see a lot. I want to see Knox. I mean, not Knox. Noel. with this group and
Mhm.
see how he fits in. I mean, I don't think his role is going to change from last season, so I think it'll be an easy fit. Actually, I want to see more of Kimba. Um, and I mean, he's playing okay, but I want to see more of him. I want to see more of Fournier, who's playing well for us as well. And I think Sim brought up a point that even if those guys are not scoring for us, just the fact that they're in that lineup, it just opens up the entire offense for other players to get
Absolutely.
easy shots because they're a threat. If you look at how much space is in the key for a drive, that's because the defense has to respect our shooters, have to respect
Mhm.
the fact that we can drive as well. So I'm looking to see more of our offense. Um, you know, more of the pace that we're playing. I think the first game, you were here Tip shout out move move,
Mm.
but I think as that second game I heard less of that. I think that it's becoming more natural. I would
Right.
like to see more of Notch, but if not Knox, but I think if Randall is back, that's a wrap. um and I'm okay whether I see the rookies or not. I just think for me, I'm about us hitting that regular season running, and if that
Mhm.
means that the starters are getting all the minutes, so be it. It's going to be a tough, crowded Eastern Conference. I think people having to miss games due to COVID protocol, having to miss games due to injury, that could be the difference between you finishing in a lower seed. Like that's how tight it's going to be in this Eastern Conference. Any last words before we get out of here?
I'm gonna have to tune into the Westchester Knicks to watch these young guys, I guess. But I ain't mad at it. I ain't mad at it, man. I appreciate you having me on, Queen.
Of course.
Shout out to the panel, Tiffy. Glad you made it. Hope you come back
Thank you
more often.
guys. Yeah,
Yeah,
I definitely want to
Shout
come
out to the
back. Thank you,
chat.
Steph. It was
yeah,
great. Thank
definitely
you
come
guys.
back.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, JJ. It was great. I appreciate it. I had a great time.
All hail the Queens.
Appreciate you. I just want to shout
Thank
out
you.
Sim. He said, check me out at the front stoop at 10:15 as we review underground music. And he left
Hmm,
the link in the chat.
okay.
Josh, Tony, I appreciate you being with me every week, holding me down. I appreciate it. Tiff, you have to come back. We here
Of
every
course.
Monday at
Of
8:30.
course.
Come back.
Okay.
If you
Of
know
course.
any other women that want to be on the show, just let me know. I'll
Absolutely.
DM them and contact them. Definitely listen. MBK is a movement, and we
Yeah.
looking to expand. Um, so if you don't want to be with me, y'all can have y'all show here too. You know, definitely. And just shout out to the chat, all of those that's listening, at home while you cleaning or doing whatever you're
Yeah.
doing, and those that's gonna listen to the show tomorrow or after it. I appreciate all your support. Um, yeah, that's out. That's it. Be easy, Nick family, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.